This is the Classic Baseball Broadcast Network, where we believe there is nothing like hearing about history from those who lived it. Listen to our full catalog of broadcasts at classicbaseballbroadcast.com. If you enjoy the podcast, please help me out and do one of three things. Follow, subscribe this podcast, and leave a review. It really helps. Share us with your baseball friends. Let them know about us. Or jump over to members.ThisDayInBaseball.com. Join our email list, community, and our family of baseball podcasts.
In old baseball land, there are no fans so grand as our Mets fans. When we play other teams, no one blood-curdling screams that our Mets fans. But when Mets fans shout, "Go!" what they mean we all know. We got no place to go.
At Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri, it's the New York Mets playing a doubleheader against the defending world champion St. Louis Cardinals. Rheingold beer brings you National League Baseball with the New York Mets. Rheingold, New York City's largest selling beer. And what a remarkable thing that is. In New York, a city of so many different people with different tastes, one beer has become the favorite, Rheingold Extra Dry. We don't know why so many people like our beer, but we must be doing something right. Today's doubleheader is also brought to you by Viceroy. Not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right. Hello, everybody. This is Lindsey Nelson with Ralph Cantor and Bob Murphy at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The Mets and the Cardinals were rained out last night, and so they are scheduled to play two here this afternoon. It is clear at this moment. There are a number of white clouds overhead, blue sky shining in between, and the umpires are coming onto the field at this moment. Starting pitchers in the first game of the Twin Bill for the St. Louis Cardinals, Bob Gibson, who has won 16 and lost 10, and for the New York Mets, Tug McGraw, who has won 2 and lost 3. So we'll check out the starting lineups and batting orders in just a moment. But first, it's time for another unusual fact from the Viceroy Hall of Records. Let me tell you about a fellow who played back in the 80s. His name was Old Hoss Radford, and in a single season, he played first base, second, third, shortstop, and the outfield. And incidentally, he pitched, too. Matter of fact, as a pitcher, Old Hoss won 60 games that year. And now, here's the story of another winner, Viceroy. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right. If you're a filter smoker, and you try smoking all 7 leading brands, you'll find some taste too strong, as if they didn't even have a filter. And some other brands taste too light. They never seem to satisfy your taste. But you take Viceroy now. Viceroy is not too strong, not too light. Viceroy...
We now join the top 45 baseball network.
It's 7:15.
New York Mets. The umpire at the plate will be Tom Gorman. Ed Sudol at first, Bill Williams at second, and Bob Engel around at
One, I'm Gene Elston, along with Lowell Pass. This evening, our Houston Colt 45s will be battling the Cincinnati Reds. At 5, they now have pulled one game out in front of Houston. Our Colt 45s are holding down the 7th spot in the National League as we start play tonight. We are 2.5 games behind the league-leading San Francisco Giants, and the Cincinnati Reds have won 4, lost 3. They are a game and a half out of first.
Ninth is the pitcher, Bob Gibson. For the New York Mets, leading off is the second baseman, Ron Hunt. Batting second is the shortstop, Roy McMillan. Batting third is first baseman, Ed Kranepool. Hitting cleanup is center fielder, Johnny Lewis. Batting fifth is the third baseman, Charlie Smith. Hitting sixth is right fielder, Joe Christopher. Batting seventh in left field is Jim Hickman. Batting eighth is the catcher, Chris Canizaro. Batting ninth is the pitcher, Tug McGraw. So the Cardinals are starting the very same lineup in batting order that they posted last night before that game was rained out. The Mets have made one change in the batting order they posted last night. They switched Johnny Lewis and Charlie Smith. Charlie Smith was to have batted cleanup last night with Johnny Lewis fifth, and they have just switched in the batting order. St. Louis Cardinals are taking the field. Bob Gibson leaves the dugout, and he's on his way to the mound. And now at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Comes to you through the courtesy of Rheingold Brewers Incorporated, the Brown and Williamson Tobacco Corporation, and the Shell Oil Company, and is authorized under radio rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets is prohibited. Now the sun has broken out here, and it appears to be at this time perfect baseball weather for the Sunday doubleheader between the Mets and the Cardinals. The Mets, of course, as are the Cardinals, faced with the proposition of back-to-back doubleheaders. At the conclusion of today's twin bill, the Mets will fly on to Milwaukee, and tomorrow afternoon they will meet the Milwaukee Braves in a Labor Day doubleheader. We'll be on the air, incidentally, tomorrow at 2:55 p.m. New York time to bring you both ends of the doubleheader. In the one game that has been played in this series between the Mets and the Cardinals, the Mets were victorious in the opener here on Friday night. And Ron Hutt comes up to lead off now for the Mets with a batting average of .237. Ron has batted in 5 runs. This is only his 36th game of this baseball season. Bob Gibson dips into the windup. Here's the first pitch of the game. It's a fastball in there for a called strike. Tom Gorman, the umpire, calling balls and strikes, is the crew chief of this particular quartet of arbiters. Bob Gibson against the Mets has won 4 and lost none. Here's a swing and a foul ball backing out of play. 2 strikes to Ron Hutt. Bob Gibson has a lifetime record against the Mets of 11 victories and 2 losses. Both losses were to Al Jackson, and both by the identical score of 1-0. Gibson now with the pitch. It's a check swing ground ball to the right side, a foul ball. Yogi Berra comes off the coaching lines at first to come up with the ball, fires it back out to Gibson. Don Hefner is the Met coach around at third. Bob Gibson is 29 years of age, 6'1", 185-pounder. Here's a swing and a line drive to short. It's taken by Dick Groat, as he had to leave his feet to spear the line drive, and there's one away. That will bring up Roy McMillan, who is playing right now his 1,999th game at shortstop in the major leagues. In the second game of today's doubleheader, he will reach the 2,000 game plateau. Something only 10 men have done. 10 shortstops. In the history of the game, here's the pitch low for a ball. McMillan is hitting .253 this year. He has 1 home run and 35 runs batted in. Here's a swing and a foul ball, back and out of play. Bob Gibson has won 16 games overall this year, and he has lost 10. There is 1 man out, nobody on base for the Mets, and here's a 1-1 delivery. Foul off to the right side and out of play. Well, there's been a lot of conjecture as to whether or not manager Herman Franks would pitch Marichal today in Chicago, and Marichal is warming up at Wrigley Field. Dick Ellsworth is warming up for the Chicago Cubs. Now the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, it's inside. It's 2-2. Gibson looks in to get a sign from Tim McCarver. 2-2 delivery. Swung on and missed for strike 3. Bob Gibson with a strikeout. Gets McMillan swinging 2 away ahead. Cranepool is the batter. Cranepool leads the Mets in batting with a mark of .268. He has 9 home runs and 51 runs batted in. Charlie Smith leads the Mets in runs batted in with 59. Cranepool is a left-hand batter facing right-hand pitcher Bob Gibson. Breaking ball is low, ball 1. 2 men out and nobody on base. Bob Gibson against Tug McGraw in the first game today. Rob Gardner against Ray Washburn in the second. That's high for a ball, 2-0. The winner here on Friday night for the Mets was Dick Selma, getting his first Major League victory. Gordon Richardson turned in a fine relief job to save it for Selma. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Fastball high and tight. 3 balls and no strikes to Ed Cranepool. Delivery is right down the pike. For a called strike, it's 3-1. The Cardinals start the day with a record of 67 wins and 69 losses for a percentage of .493, and they're 10.5 games behind the league-leading Dodgers. It's a swing and a miss on a fastball. Full count to Cranepool. Gibson looks for his sign, and the payoff pitch, low, and he walked him. The Mets get their first base runner. Here in the top half of the first inning, Cranepool goes to first with 2 men out, and Johnny Lewis is the batter. Johnny is hitting .244. He has 14 home runs and 39 runs batted in. Lewis came to the Mets from the St. Louis Cardinals. Gibson checks and deals, and the pitch is swung it on the ground through the hole into left field for a base hit. Charged by Lou Brock, up with it, plays it in. Cranepool holds it second, and Johnny Lewis is on it first with the first Met base hit of the ballgame. It gives the Mets runners at first and second now with 2 men out, and Charlie Smith is up. Charlie has hit safely in 9 consecutive games. His average is .263, 16 home runs, and 59 runs batted in. He's a right-hand batter. Gibson with the pitch, and it's low for a ball. The Cardinals with an infield of Bill White at first, Julian Javier at second, Dick Grote at shortstop, and Ken Boyer around at third. Lou Brock is in left field, Kurt Flood is in center, and Bobby Tolan is in right. Now Gibson checks and deals, swing and a miss. 1-1. Joe Christopher is waiting in the on-deck circle for the Mets. checks, deals a pitch. Low, and it's 2-1. Overall, the Cardinals and the Mets have played 16 games this year. Cardinals have won 11, the Mets have won 5. This will be a 2-1 pitch. It's on the way. Swung on it. On the ground is short. Big hop up to Grote. He flips it over Javier for the force on Johnny Lewis. And the side is retired. Mets got no runs. They had 1 hit. There was a walk, no errors, and 2 left. And the score at the end of a half inning is the Mets nothing and the Cardinals coming to bat. Is this one of those days when you're not yourself? You'll feel more so when you listen to this.
Oh, I'm not myself at all. Molly dear, Molly dear. I'm not myself at all.
This song gets sung over and over at Irish parties and picnics until the singers raise a ferocious thirst. Then they change their tune.
Come fill up your glasses and drink what you will. I'll have you me every day.
This is a traditional Irish drinking song, and often the beer they drink is Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Irish than in the whole of Dublin, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. Why do Irish Americans like Rheingold? We don't know, but we must be doing something right.
I'm a man you don't meet every day, every day. I'm a man you don't meet every day.
In the bottom half of the first inning now, it'll be Lou Brock up to lead off for the St. Louis Cardinals. Tug McGraw on the mound for the New York Mets. McGraw has won 2 games and lost 3. His first Major League victory was a root-doing performance at Shea Stadium against the St. Louis Cardinals. In that game, he allowed 7 hits, 5 walks, struck out 5, as the Mets won it 4-2. Lou Brock is a left-hand batter. Coming up now with a batting average of .292, 14 home runs and 58 runs batted in. He's hit safely in 11 consecutive games. Tug McGraw is 21 years of age, part of the Mets Youth of America movement. Charlie Smith comes in on the edge of the grass at third base against the bunting ability of Lou Brock, who also likes to drag the ball to the right side on occasion. Now McGraw's pitch. Swung on it in the air to left field, and it'll be a long run for Hickman. He's coming on near the line. He's there, and he makes the catch in foul territory. So Brock is fouled out down the line and left to Jim Hickman. 1 away, and that will bring up Curt Flood. Cardinal center fielder is hitting .302. He leads the regulars in batting. He has 8 homers and 69 runs batted in. Flood is a right-hand batter. Tug McGraw's pitch. Low and away for ball 1. In preseason pro football games yesterday, the American Football League, Houston defeated San Diego 13-10, Kansas City over Boston 34-7, Oakland over Denver 30-20. Swinging a ground ball to deep short, taken by McMillan. Long throw, and not in time. He beat it out for a base hit. Mike had to go deep in the hole, and he knew that with Curt Flood going down the line in a hurry, he'd have to get rid of it. He did on a short hop over to Craneville. Craneville dug it out, but it's a base hit for Curt Flood, the first for the Cardinals. It brings up shortstop Dick Grote. Grote is batting .253. He has 48 runs batted in. In an interview with Ralph Kiner during the rain delay last night, he indicated that he is seriously considering ending his active playing career. He wants to stay in baseball, possibly as a manager, a coach, or in whatever capacity is available. Runner goes as a swing and a miss, and a throw, and Flood is hung up. The throw back to first, and he is out at first base. It was a hit-and-run play, and it was a pitch-out call for by Canizero, and Flood got about halfway and decided to go back. So he is out at first as it goes 2-6-3 if you're scoring. Dick Groden trying to protect the runner on the pitch-out, threw his bat at the ball, did not connect, and Kurt Flood is out there. 2 men down, nobody on base, and a strike one count to Dick Groden. Flood saw that he was going to be out by a good margin, and he decided to go back to first. Here's a swing and a drive in the air to right, and Christopher goes back in the warning track and makes the catch. So the side is out. No runs, one hit. No errors, none left. The score at the end of an inning is Mets nothing and the Cardinals nothing. The Mets still have a number of ball games to be played at Shea Stadium against contenders for the pennant. Milwaukee Braves, the Cincinnati Reds, Pittsburgh Pirates, the Philadelphia Phillies. So if you'd like to purchase tickets for any of the upcoming games at Shea Stadium, the advanced ticket window at the stadium is located at entrance D, and it's open 7 days a week. It's open right now. There is a Met ticket office at Pennsylvania Station in the Long Island Railroad waiting room. It's open 6 days a week. It is not open on Sunday. And the same is true of the Met ticket office at the Grand Central Terminal, which is at the foot of the 42nd Street and Vanderbilt Avenue ramp. There is a Met ticket office at Macy's in Huntington, Long Island. It's in the Walt Whitman Shopping Center, and it's open during regular store hours. Reservations can be made for box and reserve seats at any of the Howard Clothes stores, Child's Restaurants, or Calico Kitchens in the greater New York area. And tickets to all Met games may be ordered by mail. Reserve seats are $2.50, box seats are $3.50. Simply add 25 cents to each order for handling and postage. And address your checks and money orders to Met Ticket Office, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. Top of the second, Joe Christopher is coming up to lead off for the Mets. Christopher is hitting .262 with 5 home runs and 39 runs batted in. He's a right-hand batter facing a right-hand pitcher here. Gibson deals. It's a fastball high, ball one. Christopher has an 8-game hitting streak, and he has hit safely in 15 of his last 16 games. Over the 16 games, he has gone 23 for 60. That's a clip of 383. That pitch is low, and it's 2-0 now. No score. We're in the top half of the second inning of the first game of a scheduled doubleheader. Jim Hickman is on deck. Here's a 2-0 delivery. And it's high. Gibson goes behind 3-0. He walked Craneville in the first inning. The 3-0 pitch. In there for a strike, it's 3-1. Pitch. And it's in there for a call, strike 2. So it's a full count to Christopher with nobody out here in the top of the second. Joe steps back for a moment and now comes back into the batter's box. Here's the payoff pitch. Foul back and out of play. Count holds 3-2. In Saturday preseason pro football, the Detroit Lions defeated the New York Giants 25-21. San Francisco 49ers beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 23-9. Here's a pitch high, and Christopher goes to first base. Second walk that is then issued by Bob Gibson. Puts Christopher on at first and brings up Jim Hickman. Jim Hickman was the big star here night before last when he became the first Met ever to hit 3 home runs in a single game. He also had a single to set a new Met record for total bases in one game, 13. Joe Christopher last year had 12 total bases in one game. So Hickman is up for the first time now in this game with a season's batting average of .223. Swing and a miss as he was checking. He has 12 home runs for the year and 30 runs batted in. Yesterday's football scores, the Green Bay Packers 30, the Cleveland Browns 14, and Baltimore Colts 33, and the Washington Redskins 23. Here's a strike one pitch. And it's high. 1-1 to Hickman. Hickman was obtained by the Mets in the expansion draft from the Cardinal organization, although he had never played with the Cardinals. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. It's 1-2. Nobody out. Christopher takes his lead at first base, and Gibson sidearms over. Christopher's back safely. Bill White's the first baseman. Here's another throw over. Not in time. Chris Canizero is on deck. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, and Gibson gets his second strikeout as he gets Hickman swinging. Canizero is coming up. In New York City, where there are more different kinds of people than anywhere in the world, more people drink Rheingold Extra Dry than any other beer. Canizero is hitting .177. He has had 7 doubles, 2 triples, and 7 runs batted in. Now a throw over, and Christopher's back safely. Gibson up and set. Pitch to the right-hand batter with a runner going, and it's line foul on the right field line. Christopher already had turned second, so he'll have to cut across coming back to first. Canizero steps out to look down to Don Hefner for his sign. Strike one. That's playing hit and run with 1 man out. No score in this game. First of 2 to be played here this afternoon. Goes again, swinging a foul ball on the right field line, and it chased back by first baseman Bill White, who might have a play. He's close, and a fan reaches over the fence down there, and it's off the fan's hand, right down in the corner by the runway, back of first on the right field line. So it's simply no play and 2 strikes to Canizero. White was making a stab, and he might have had a play if the fan hadn't reached out and got it. After all the rain of last night, it had been anticipated that the outfield might be very wet today, but it isn't. Appears to be in reasonably good shape. We had a lot of rain here last night. The umpires waited an hour and 37 minutes before they called it off. Now Christopher takes his lead, and here's the 2-strike pitch. Swung on and missed, and it's another strikeout for Gibson. Canizero saying a word to umpire Tom Gorman. He thinks he checked it in time, but Gorman said he took it through. So now it's 2 men out, and Tug McGraw is coming up. McGraw has been up only 12 times. He's had 1 hit. Tug has signed on with the Marine Corps Reserve, and he and Met pitcher Jim Besky figure they'll be leaving for Paris Island Boot Camp around the 23rd of this month. McGraw's a right-hand batter. Christopher takes his lead, and the pitch. In there for a strike. Here's a swing and a miss. 2 strikes to Tug McGraw. Cardinal defense players McGraw to go to the opposite field. There's a swing and a miss, and after walking Joe Christopher, Bob Gibson struck out the side. So he got Hickman, Canizero, and McGraw. No runs, no hits, no errors, one left, and the score at the end of an inning and a half is that's nothing, and the Cardinals nothing. It's very hard to sell sheet music in Jamaica, you know. They make up songs whenever they need them, like this.
Having a party, eating rice and peas, dancing happily as you please. Charming lady with a very nice smile. Think I'll talk to her for a while. Think I'll talk to her for a while.
When Jamaicans get together for a party, the beat is calypso and the songs are made up on the spot.
The party was hilarious as it could be, but in the morning there was news for me. The penny was a man's wedding tune on his wife. The smiling lady is now my wife. The smiling lady is now my wife.
And when the singer finds his throat a little dry, something refreshing will be improvised. Probably Rheingold beer. In New York City, where there are more different kinds of people than in any other city in the world, more people drink Rheingold Extra Dry than any other beer. Why do Jamaicans like Rheingold? We don't know, but we must be doing something right.
In the bottom half of the second inning, it'll be Kenny Boyer up to lead off for the St. Louis Cardinals, facing left-handed Tug McGraw. In the National League, the Mets and the Cardinals were postponed last night because of rain. The Milwaukee Braves defeated the Pittsburgh Pirates 8-3 in a game that took about 6.5 hours to play and was finally called because of rain at the end of 7 innings. It was, of course, an official game. Milwaukee winning. San Francisco Giants yesterday afternoon beat the Cubs 7-3. The Dodgers beat the Houston Astros 5-0 using Don Drysdale in relief, although Johnny Padres in relief got the win. And Cincinnati beat Philadelphia 5-4 with a late rush in the ninth inning. Ken Boyer's up now, right-hand batter. Hitting .266, 13 homers, 72 runs batted in. McGraw's pitch in there for a called strike. So starting play in the National League, the Dodgers are on top. The Cincinnati Reds are 1 game back. The Giants and the Milwaukee Braves are 2 games out. Pittsburgh 5.5, Philadelphia 8. Here's a pitch in for strike 2 to Ken Boyer. Mickey Vernon on the coaching lines for the Cardinals at first base, and Joe Schultz is on the lines around at third. Looking to Canizero for a sign. 2-strike pitch, breaking ball high, and it's 1-2. Bill White is waiting in the on-deck circle. 1-2 delivery to Boyer. Misses outside, and it's 2-2. Boyer swings the bat as he waits. 2-2 pitch. Swung on and fouled off. It was a breaking ball, and he waited and pulled it foul back to third. Count holds at 2-2. Now McGraw goes to work again. Swung and popped up to the right side. Second baseman Ron Hutt goes back in the outfield grass in short right and makes the catch. So Boyer pops out to Hutt. One away, and Bill White is the batter. Bill White leads the Cardinals in home runs with 21. And he really put one in orbit here off Dick Selma on Friday night. Over the pavilion roof and right out of the ballpark. White has batted in 67 runs and hitting .290. left-hand batter. Way inside and low, ball one. In the American League yesterday and last night, the Chicago White Sox beat the league-leading Minnesota Twins 5-4. Washington Senators shut out Detroit 1-0. Boston Red Sox took 2 from the New York Yankees, 1-0 and 7-2. Here's a breaking ball in for a called strike. It's 1-1. And the Baltimore Orioles beat the Cleveland Indians 1-0 in 11 innings. The Los Angeles Angels beat Kansas City 4-1. So starting play in the American League, Minnesota's on top. Chicago 6.5 games out. Baltimore 9.5. Here's a pitch in for a called strike to Bill White. 1-2. White questions the call. Nobody on base, no score in the game, bottom half of the second. 1-2 pitch to White, swung on and missed. He chased the breaking ball out of the strike zone on the outside. First strikeout for Tug McGraw. Threw away, and it'll bring up Julian Javier. The second baseman has missed much of this season with a broken hand and then a broken finger. He's hitting .211, 2 home runs and 20 runs batted in. Jerry Buchek and Darryl Maxwell filled in at second during Javier's absence. He's a right-hand batter with very excellent speed. Swung on it on the ground to short. Roy McMillan scoops it up, places it across to Cranefield, and Javier grounds out short to first. McGraw gets the Cardinals in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. And the score at the end of 2 full innings is the Mets nothing and the Cardinals nothing. Well, we have some special dates coming up. Friday night, September 10th, it'll be the Mets meeting the Milwaukee Braves, and that'll be date night, the second such date of the season, and there'll be Dixieland bands at Shea Stadium to enliven the proceedings. And Saturday afternoon, September 11th, it'll be the Mets and the Milwaukee Braves again. That'll be camera day. Chance for amateur photographers to take close-up shots of their favorite Met players between the hours of 12 noon and 1 p.m. There'll be 68 valuable prizes awarded for the best shots submitted for judging. The information on entering may be obtained at most of your favorite photo outlets in the metropolitan area. Sunday afternoon, September 12th, it'll be the Mets and the Milwaukee Braves on Father and Son Day. School opens the next day. Youngsters accompanied by their father will be admitted for 50 cents. So those are special dates upcoming at Shea Stadium. Tickets are now on sale for any or all future games at Shea Stadium this year. And right now we pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
Listening to WGY, 10 on your radio dial, Schenectady.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Ralph Kiner and Bob Murphy. There's no score at the end of 2 as we go to the third inning of this, the first game of a doubleheader. Here's Ralph.
Thank you, Lindsey, and hi, everyone. Mets will have their leadoff batter batting for the second time in the ball game. So far, the Mets have fared a little bit better off in men at bat. They have had 9 up in 2 innings to 6 for the Cardinals. And the first pitch to Ron Hunt is a swing and a miss, strike 1. Ron lined out to the shortstop Dick Groat his first time up. It took a good play by Dick to haul it in with one hand. 1 strike count of Ron Hunt. He'll be followed by Roy McMillan and then at Cranepool. And the next pitch by Bob Gibson is a curveball outside. The count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Gibson has given up no runs, allowed 1 hit. He has struck out 4 and walked 2. Bob looking for his 17th win, and a fastball is hit slowly down to first base, taken on the second hop by Bill White, and he makes the play unassisted at first. 1 away in the top of the third, and Roy McMillan to come to bat for the second time. Roy struck out swinging at a fastball his first time up. He takes an average of 253 to the plate. Hunt batting at 235 before grounding out. Roy's hit one home run, had 35 runs batted in, and he hits the first pitch on a one-hop bounce to the third baseman, Ken Boyer. Boyer over to White for out number 2. So Bob Gibson, with the score at 0-0, has 2 men away in the top of the third, and he'll now work to Ed Kranepool. He walked Kranepool in the first inning on a 3-2 pitch, the first of his 2 walks. So Ed's batting average staying at .263 with 9 home runs and 51 runs batted in. Ed, a left-hand batter. Ed has moved up on the plate. He's much closer to it with a short right field fence. And the first pitch is a slider in for a called strike. Right field is 310. A pavilion there, a high fence, hit the ball over. Center field 425. Left field 351. Next pitch, a changeup that's way high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Left center is 379. Right center 354. Jim Hickman used right center and left field for his 3 home runs the other night. And the 4th time up, he grounded a bad hop base hit on through in the left field over Ken Boyer. A swing and a foul ball. The ball going out of play, and the count moving up to 1 ball and 2 strikes. At the end of 1, the Giants 0, Chicago 0. Marichal pitching against Dick Ellsworth. Marichal looking for his 20th win. Ellsworth for his 14th. Only action other than this in the National League so far. In the American League, at the end of 5 1/2, Boston 3, the Yankees 0. Now the Yankees picking up 2 on Thresh's home run in the 6th, so it's a 3-2 game. Another foul ball back over home plate and out of play. The count stays at 1-2. In that Yankee game, it's Jim Lomberg pitching for the Red Sox against Mel Stoudemire. At the end of 1, Cleveland 2, Baltimore 1. Stang against John Miller. Only games in progress in the American League. Now the pitch back to Kranepool. A fastball low and away. It's ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes on the left-hand batter. And Gibson back to work. And the pitch is hit over the mound. Coming across in front of second base is Dick Groat. His play to first base in time. A good play by Dick Groat to retire the side. Dick got that ball right on the bag at second base and then had to hustle his throw off to first to pick up Ed Kranepool. So another 1-2-3 inning. And the score at the end of 2.5 innings, the Mets 0, the St. Louis Cardinals 0. Now it's time for another unusual fact for the Viceroy Hall of Records.
Today's story could be called a batter's nightmare. When Frank Chance was playing for Chicago, he reached base 5 times in 1 game. But Frank wasn't doing the hitting. He was hit with 5 pitch balls. Now let's turn to a more pleasant subject and talk about Viceroy. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. You know why? Because Viceroy is specifically designed to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Not too strong like some brands that taste as if they didn't have a filter, and not too light like some others. You know the kind. They just don't seem to satisfy your taste. But when you light up a Viceroy, you get the filter cigarette that's not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right.
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
Bottom half of the 3rd inning in the first of a doubleheader. In the second ball game today, it's going to be Bob Gardner making his second start for the Mets. He'll be opposed by Ray Washburn. Mets then go on to Milwaukee for a doubleheader tomorrow. Game time will be at 2:55 New York time. So back-to-back doubleheaders. Right here, though, it's the bottom half of the 3rd. No score, and the first batter up for Tug McGraw will be a left-hand batter, Bob Tolan. Bob playing his second Major League game, and he takes the first pitch for a called strike. In his first, he singled his first time up and was 1 for 4. Batted .291 for Jacksonville with 45 stolen bases. He swings at the next pitch. It's strike 2. 2-strike count as Tug McGraw pitches here in the bottom half of the 3rd. Tug has given up 1 base hit. That was an infield hit to deep short by Kurt Flood. So Tug also has struck out one, walked none. This is his 5th start. He has a record of 2 and 3. And a 2-strike delivery, a breaking pitch low and away, and it's ball 1. McGraw going down sidearm to the left-hand batter. It'll be Bob Tolan, Tim McCarver, and Bob Gibson against McGraw here in the 3rd. Yankees out in the bottom half of the 6th, just scoring 2 runs in the home run by Tommy Tresh. They trail by 1. It's a 3-2 game with Boston batting in the top of the 7th. Jim Lomberg against Mel Stottlemyre. 1 ball, 2 strikes. McGraw now back into the plate again, and the ball bounced down to first. A 2-hopper for Kranepool. He makes the race to the bag in time. So the Mets get their first out here in the bottom half of the 3rd, and the batter coming up, Tim McCarver. Tim, a left-hand batter, hitting .276. He's had 11 home runs and has driven in 43 runs. Tim batting with a taped left thumb. And the left thumb to a left-hand batter, the very important one. That takes a lot of the shock of the swing and hit. First pitch, McGraw. Fastball over the outside corner, a called strike by Tom Gorman. And now McCarver wants the ball looked at. Umpires in the game are Gorman behind home plate, Ed Sudol at first base. He'll umpire the second ball game behind the plate. Bill Williams at second base and Bob Engel at third. For the Mets, he'll be opposed by Ray Washburn. Mets then go on to Milwaukee for a doubleheader tomorrow. Game time will be at 2:55 New York time. So back-to-back doubleheaders. Right here, though, it's the bottom half of the 3rd. No score, and the first batter up for Tug McGraw will be a left-hand batter, Bob Tolan. Bob playing his second Major League game, and he takes the first pitch for a called strike. In his first, he singled his first time up and was 1 for 4. Tolan batted .291 for Jacksonville with 45 stolen bases. He swings at the next pitch, hits strike 2. 2-strike count as Tug McGraw pitches here in the bottom half of the 3rd. Tug has given up 1 base hit. That was an infield hit to deep short by Kurt Flood. Tug also has struck out 1, walked none. This is his 5th start. He has a record of 2 and 3. And the 2-strike delivery, a breaking pitch low and away, and it's ball 1. McGraw going down sidearm to the left-hand batter. It'll be Bob Tolan, Tim McCarver, and Bob Gibson against McGraw here in the 3rd. Yankees out in the bottom half of the 6th, just scoring 2 runs in the home run by Tommy Tresh. They trail by 1. It's a 3-2 game with Boston batting in the top of the 7th. Jim Lomberg against Mel Stottlemyre. 1 ball, 2 strikes. McGraw now back into the plate again, and the ball bounced down to first. A 2-hopper for Kranepool. He makes the race to the bag in time. So the Mets get their first out here in the bottom half of the 3rd, and the batter coming up, Tim McCarver. Tim, a left-hand batter, hitting .276. He's had 11 home runs and has driven in 43 runs. Tim batting with a taped left thumb. And the left thumb to a left-hand batter, the very important one. That takes a lot of the shock of the swing and hit. First pitch, McGraw. Fastball over the outside corner, a called strike by Tom Gorman. And now McCarver wants the ball looked at. Umpires in the game are Gorman behind home plate, Ed Sudol at first base. He'll umpire the second ball game behind the plate. Bill Williams at second base and Bob Engel at third. Word on Vinny Smith, the man that Engel replaced, is that Vinny's in the hospital and his leg is in traction. He hurt his knee umpiring a game in Shea Stadium about a month ago. Benny's always had a lot of knee trouble. We certainly hope that he comes out of this one all right. One strike count as McGraw comes back again. A ball hit into center field. Lewis falls down but gets up in time to make the play. Johnny Lewis started in, stopped quickly, and he slid out and fell down but got right up to make the play and straightaway center field, not too deep away. Outfield, of course, is very wet from the rains of yesterday. Now with 2 men away, the batter will be Bob Gibson. Bob, a good hitting pitcher, batting .217 with 4 home runs and 13 runs batted in. He has been up 83 times this year with 18 hits, 2 of them doubles and 4 home runs. 2 men out in the bottom half of the third, no score. And the first pitch is fouled to the right side, strike 1. Giants out in the top of the second, so that game 0-0 with the Cubs coming up in the bottom half of the second against Juan Marichal. Dick Ellsworth pitching for the Cubs. Giants trail by 2. Cincinnati in second place, 1 game back. Dodgers in first. 1 strike pitch to Gibson is just outside, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodgers are at Houston for a single-day game. Milwaukee also tied for third place. They're playing Pittsburgh. They're 2 games back. Next pitch is swung on and missed. Strike 2. A change of pace by Tug McGraw, and Gibson was fooled completely. That puts a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. No score. 2 men out, bottom half of third. First of 2 games. And McGraw back with a fastball that's fouled off. He had the fastball by Gibson. But Gibson got enough of the bat and the ball to foul it to the right side and keep the count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. In the Pittsburgh-Milwaukee game, Tommy Sisk is pitching for the Pirates against Bob Sadowski. Mets play Milwaukee tomorrow. A doubleheader. Game time in New York will be at 2:25. Now the 1-2 pitch. Change up again. This one is outside and high, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Balls, 2 strikes. Make the game time of the doubleheader tomorrow 2:55. Curveball back and on the outside corner. Looked at, strike 3. So Tug McGraw walks off his first 3 innings of work, pitching to 9 batters, striking out 2, giving up 1 base hit, erased by a pickoff play, and the score at the end of 3, the New York Mets 0, the St. Louis Cardinals 0. Next, you're going to hear a lullaby, but remember to stay awake for what comes after.
Generations of Jewish children have been put to bed with this lullaby, and often they've stayed awake, quiet as mice, listening to the party. This song brings back friendly laughter and the clink of bottle against glass. And today, as yesterday, what's in the bottle is often Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, which has the largest Jewish community in the world, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. How come? We don't know. But we must be doing something right. L'chaim.
Gibson to start off in the top of the 4th, and his first pitch to Johnny Lewis is inside, ball 1. Johnny hit his first pitch his first time up for a base hit to left. Both sides with 1 hit. Kurt Flood got the base hit for the St. Louis Cardinals. Johnny Lewis, Charlie Smith, Joe Christopher in hand for Bob Gibson. Bob has struck out 4, walked 2. Lewis, a left-hand batter. Batting at 2:46, and his next pitch is ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Gibson with his 4 strikeouts now with a total of 227 this year. Pitched 247 innings. 2-0 delivery, sort of half swing. Lewis goes far enough, it's strike 1. And 1 strike, no score. We're in the top of the 4th, no one out. And the next delivery, a slider that's inside. That puts it at 3 balls and 1 strike. Cubs are out in the bottom half of the 2nd, so for the Giants, no score. The Cubs, no score after 2. 3 balls, 1 strike. Gibson taking a look at his right fielder. He's being moved toward the foul line. Bob Tolan playing out there. Rest of the outfield about straight away. And the next pitch is fouled into the stands, and the count fills out to 3-2. The Boston Red Sox are out on the top of the 7th. They lead 3-2 over the Yankees. Raddatz now pitching in the ball game for the Red Sox, relieving Jim Lomberg. Ground ball, and Gibson makes a fine play as he leaps off the ground to his left on a slow chopper. He comes up with it, has plenty of time to throw to first base for the out. That ball might have been extremely difficult for Julian Javier to field as it was hit very slowly, and it was bounced high in the air just to the left of Bob Gibson. First out in the top of the 4th with no score, and it brings up Charlie Smith. Charlie grounded into a force play his first time up. Is 0 for 1, putting his average at 263. And the first pitch to the right-hand batter is a fastball through at strike 1. The Yankees are out in the bottom half of the 7th, so that game now moving to the top of the 8th. 3-2 in favor of Boston. 1 strike delivery is fouled down in the dirt. That puts it at strike 2. Now pitching for the Yankees, Steve Hamilton, replacing Mel Stottlemyre. Chicago, the White Sox got a run in the top of the 1st. They lead Minnesota 1-0 as the Twins bat in the bottom half of the 1st against Joe Horland. Jim Perry pitching for the Minnesota Twins. A hard swing at a fastball, strike 3. Bob Gibson gets his 5th strikeout in the game. His 2nd out in the 4th, and with a score at 0-0, the batter will be Joe Christopher. Joe walked in a 3-2 pitch his first time up, so his average remains at 262. Joe has hit in 15 of his last 16 ball games. Over that period, batting .383 to raise his average to 262. Right-hand batter. And Gibson with a curveball that's in for a called strike. Both sides with 1 hit. No score with 2 men out in the top of the 4th. One strike delivery, a fastball bounced slowly to 3rd. A very tough play, and it's going to be a base hit if it stays fair. They're letting it roll, and it stops dead right on the line. So Joe Christopher has now hit in 16 of his last 17 ball games. That's the 2nd hit for the Mets, and that ball chopped out on the grass. No one had a chance to make a play. Both Boyer and Gibson standing right over the ball as it sort of settled toward the foul line and finally came to rest right on the line. Joe now has hit in 9 consecutive ball games, and the Mets have a base runner with 2 men out here in the top of the 4th, and the batter is Jim Hickman. Jim struck out his first time up, swinging at a curveball. And Gibson in the stretch position. His first pitch, a fastball outside. It's ball 1. Giants out in the top of the 3rd with no score. Cubs coming up in the bottom half of the 3rd. They have yet to score. 0-0 game. Right here, the same situation, 0-0. Next pitch back is foul tipped into the glove of Tim McCarver on a check swing, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Tim Hickman has now become the all-time Met home run hitter. He has just surpassed Frank Thomas in total home runs for a Met in a baseball career. Christopher's running. The pitch is bounced to third. A 2-hopper for Boyer. He takes the bounce, throws over to first base, and Hickman is out. That retires the side. Mets score no runs, get 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left. And the score at the end of 3 1/2, the Mets nothing, the Cardinals nothing. And once again, here's Lindsey Nelson.
What do you think of when you think of Denmark? The Tivoli Gardens? The beaches? The blondes? Many people think of Tuborg beer, which isn't at all surprising because Tuborg seems to have so many of the qualities Denmark is famous for. It's a bright, happy brew, full of the gaiety and hospitality of Copenhagen, where the Tuborg breweries were founded in 1873. If you're a beer connoisseur, you may note the distinctive tang of the fine European hops and the Danish barley. If you simply like a first-rate beer, you'll find Tuborg unusually refreshing, with a flavor you'll remember and look forward to from one bottle to the next. Tuborg is a beer you'll savor slowly, and while you do, it holds its flavor in the glass. It doesn't go flat quickly. It's a flavor that's aged for 6 months and is given its final bloom by the motion of the ship that brings it across the Atlantic to you. Tuborg is distributed by the Rheingold breweries. Try it. And when you do, we think you'll say that Rheingold has done something right again.
Okay, Lindsey, and now we're moving to the bottom half of the 4th, a scoreless ball game, and the Cardinals coming up. They'll be coming up with their leadoff batter, Lou Brock. He'll be followed by Kurt Flood and then Dick Groat. On the mound for the Mets, Tug McGraw. Tug has given up 1 base hit. That was to Kurt Flood, an infield hit to deep short. Lou Brock, a left-hand batter, stepping in the batter's box. He has an average of .291. Has hit in 11 consecutive ball games prior to this one. During that period, batting .388. Brock has 14 home runs, 58 runs batted in. His first time up, he hit the first pitch into foul territory down the left field line, and Jim Hickman made the catch. Little bunt attempt and hit right back to the mound. McGraw picks it up, then throws to first base. McGraw fielded that ball right in front of the pitching rubber as Brock, who was trying to drag the ball by the pitcher, was late on the attempt and was thrown out. So Lou Brock is out twice now in 1 pitch, and it brings up Kurt Flood, who has the only base hit against Tug McGraw. Flood batting .303, 157 base hits this year, and he takes inside. It's ball 1. Flood looks like he'll miss the 200 mark this year. 200 mark in base hits, and he takes low, and it's ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. He was tied last year for the most hits in the National League with 211 with Roberto Clemente, who looks like a cinch to be the new batting champion, or actually succeed himself as batting champion of the National League. The 2-0 delivery hit foul out of play, and the count moves up to 2 balls and 1 strike. Flood with 8 home runs and 69 runs batted in, having a good year in both those departments for the type of hitter he is. And the next pitch is hit down to second base, a 1-hopper, picked up by Ron Hunt. His throw to first base gets out number 2. So 2 away in the bottom half of the 4th. No score in the game, and the batter will be Dick Groat. Groat lined out to deep right field his first time up, driving Joe Christopher back against the fence, about 322 feet away. This is a good left-hand hitter's park. As Stan Musial will attest, first pitch to Groat is taken. It's ball 1. Groat taking all the way, shortening up to decoy a bunt. Dick is betting 252, an off year for him, with no home runs and 48 runs batted in. Chris Cannizzaro sending the signs out to Tug McGraw on the one-strike delivery. Coming back to the plate is a changeup hit softly in the shallow left field. Jim Hickman moving in has plenty of time, and he makes a catch, and that retires the side. So Tug McGraw has now retired 10 in a row since the only hit in the game, which came in the first. And the score at the end of 4, the Mets nothing, the Cardinals nothing, and once again, here's Lindsey Nelson.
All right, Ralph, the Milwaukee Braves will be coming in to Shea Stadium on Friday night, September 10th. It's next Friday night. And they'll be there for a 3-game series. Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. You know, the Braves are favored by a lot of the experts to win in the National League, and they right now are in the thick of the fight, faced by Henry Aaron and Eddie Matthews and Tony Cloninger, who is now a 20-game winner. And then the Cincinnati Reds will be coming in. And, of course, the Cincinnati Reds are favored also by a lot of the experts, and they are also still very much in the thick of the fight. They'll be in on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, September 14th and 15th, and Thursday afternoon, September 16th. With Frank Robinson and Beta Pinson and Gordon Coleman and Darren Johnson, who's having a great year. So make your plans to come out and see the Milwaukee Braves and the Cincinnati Reds and make up your own mind about who you think's going to win in the National League. Right now, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers are still on top. Tickets are on sale for any of the future games at Shea Stadium in New York. As we go to the 5th inning, it's Chris Cannizzaro up for the Mets. He's been up one time and he struck out. Bob Gibson has struck out 5 and walked 2 so far, and here's his first pitch. Swung on and missed as Cannizzaro was trying to check, but took it through and strike 1. Again, Gibson with the pitch, and it misses outside. 1-1 to Cannizzaro as Tug McGraw moves out to the on-deck circle. This is a 1-1 delivery, and it's swung on and fouled off. 1-2 to Chris Cannizzaro. Cannizzaro was an expansion draft selection of the Mets off the Cardinal roster. Now Chris calls time, and he wants the pine tar rag. It's brought out to him. Works on the handle of the bat. Comes back up to face Gibson with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. There is no score in this game, and we're in the top half of the 5th inning. This is the first game of a doubleheader. 1-2 pitch. Fastball low, and it's 2-2. Well, it isn't as bright here weather-wise as it was at the start of the ball game. A little cloud cover move in since the start of the ball game. Here's 2-2 pitch. Swung on and lined into center, but it's hanging up there, and Kurt Flood stays to make the catch. Cannizzaro lines out the Flood in center. There is one away, and Tug McGraw will be coming up. Tug's been up one time, and he struck out swinging. Remember, Viceroy is not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right. He is a left-hander on the mound. At the plate, Tug McGraw is a right-hander. Here's a swing and a miss. Swung on the fastball, and it's strike 1. And again, the Cardinal defense plays McGraw to go to the opposite field. Just a fastball like Gibson. Most pitchers would be played that way, figuring they'll get around late on that fastball. Strike 1 pitch. A little high, and it's 1-1. Ron Hunt has moved out to the on-deck circle now. The Mets have had 2 hits off Gibson so far. Johnny Lewis in the first and Joe Christopher in the 4th. Here's a swing and a miss. It's 1-2. Gibson gets his sign from McCarver, deals 1-2, and it misses outside 2-2. At Wrigley Field in Chicago, Willie Mays has homered in the fourth with one man on for the Giants. That's number 43 for Willie. And the Giants go ahead of the Cubs 2-0. Juan Marichal against Ellsworth. Here's a swing and a miss. The ball is dropped by McCarver, and he throws it on down to Bill White. So if you're scoring, make it a K and a 2-3. Strikeout number 6 for Gibson. 2 men out for the Mets here in the top of the fifth, and Ron Hunt's coming up. Juan Marichal is going for his 20th win of the season today. He's won 19, lost 10. The Phillies are at Cincinnati. Lou Burnett against Sammy Ellis. The end of an inning, Pittsburgh nothing, Milwaukee nothing. Tommy Sisk against Bob Sadowski. The Dodgers at Houston in a later start. Ron Hunt lined to short, grounded out to first base unassisted. With Willie Mays hitting that homer in Chicago, it is number 496 for him in his fabulous National League career. Here's a pitch high for a ball. Friday night, Ron Hunt played against the St. Louis Cardinals for the first time this year, as Hunt has missed most of the season. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and it's high for a ball. 2-0. The first time since he was injured against the St. Louis Cardinals. It was the first time that he had faced them here in St. Louis this season. He was injured at Shea Stadium in New York. Here's the pitch low. Phil Gagliano in a baseline collision put Hunt out of action at an operation. And so when he appeared here Friday night, it was the first time he had appeared against the Cardinals here in St. Louis this year. Count him now as 3 balls and no strikes. Roy McMillan's waiting on deck. Here's 3-0 pitch. And it's in there for a called strike as Hunt bluffed a couple of steps down toward first. 3-1 now. Hunt settles himself back into the batter's box, taking his time as he does. There are 2 men out, nobody on base, no score in this game. 3-1 pitch. He walked him. It's a little tight. That's the 3rd walk given up by Gibson. And as Hunt goes to first, McMillan comes up and we step out for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
You're listening to WGY 10 on your radio dial, Schenectady.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Bob Murphy and Ralph Kiner here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. The Mets have a base runner at first, Ron Hunt, and McMillan is at the plate. Gibson deals, and the pitch is high for a ball. McMillan has struck out swinging and grounded out 3rd to first. Dick Stewart has hit a grand slammer for the Philadelphia Phillies. Top half of the first inning at Cincinnati. Hitting it off of Sammy Ellis. Runner goes, and here's a swing and a miss, and McCarver's throw to second taken by Groden. Hunt is out as he slides in at second base. Play goes 2-6 if you're scoring. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left, and the score at the end of 4.5 innings is the Mets nothing and the Cardinals nothing. And now it's time for another unusual fact from the Viceroy Hall of Records. Got a question for you. You know when the first night game was played? I was surprised it was so long ago. But the Viceroy Hall of Records gives the nod to a couple of amateur teams that played in Massachusetts. The year 1880. Surprising, huh? But I'll tell you this. It's no surprise to see more and more smokers choosing Viceroy. It's because Viceroy's got the taste that's right. You see, Viceroy is specifically designed to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Viceroy is not too strong like some brands that taste as if they didn't have a filter, and not too light like some others. You know the kind. They just don't seem to satisfy your taste. But when you light up a Viceroy, you get the filter cigarette that's not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right.
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
the bottom of the fifth, it will be team captain Ken Boyer up to lead off for the Cardinals. He's been up one time, and he popped out to second base. Facing 21-year-old left-hander Tug McGraw. In the second game here this afternoon, Ray Washburn is scheduled to go for the Cardinals. And Rob Gardner is scheduled to pitch for the Mets. Ken Boyer settles himself into the batter's box. Manager Red Shaindin's pacing up and down in the dugout of the Cardinals. There's a breaking ball high, and it's ball one. Bill White is waiting on deck. And the Cardinal fans are trying to get something started here on behalf of the home heroes with a little rhythmic applause. This is a 1-0 pitch. Swung on and popped up to shortstop. McMillan is there. He makes the catch, and there's one away. That will bring up Bill White. He's been up one time in this game, and he struck out swinging. He's hitting .290, and he leads the Cardinals in home runs with 21. Here's McGraw with the pitch. And it's outside for a ball to Bill White. One away and nobody on base. Swing and a miss. Took a lot off the breaking ball and had White way out in front. It's 1-1. To Canizero for his sign, and here's the 1-1 pitch. And White is hit for the pitch ball. Hit on the thigh as it came inside. He's all right. He goes on down to first, and the Cardinals get a base runner with one man out. And it brings up Julian Javier, right-hand batter, who's been up one time and grounded out short to first. McGraw has struck out two and walked none. Cardinals get their first base runner since Kurt Flood had a base hit in the first inning. McGraw had retired 11 straight Cardinals. And the pitch is swung on it on the ground to short. Taken by McMillan. Over to Hart, that's one. Throw to first, that's two. And the side is retired. On a 6-4-3 double play. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. And the score at the end of 5 full innings is the Mets nothing and the Cardinals nothing. And now we're going to check out scores of other games all around the major leagues. First in the National League, the league-leading Los Angeles Dodgers are at the Astrodome in Houston in a later start. It's a day game. At the end of an inning and a half at County Stadium, Milwaukee, the Pirates nothing, the Braves nothing. Tommy Sisk against Bob Sadowski. At the end of a half inning at Cincinnati, the Phillies 4 and the Reds coming to bat. Lou Burdett against Sammy Ellis. Dick Stewart had a grand slammer to account for the 4 runs for Philadelphia in the top of the first. The end of 3 1/2 innings at Wrigley Field in Chicago. The Giants 2 and the Cubs nothing. Juan Marichal against Dick Ellsworth. Willie Mays hit his 43rd home run in the 4th with one on, the 496th of his career. Just now, Billy Williams has homered for the Chicago Cubs with nobody on at the bottom of the 4th to make it the Giants 2 and the Cubs 1. Over in the American League at the end of 8 innings of play, it's the Yankees 3 and the Red Sox 3. Jim Lonborg started for Boston. Dick Raditz in the 7th. Mel Stottlemyre started for the Yankees. Steve Hamilton in the 8th. Tommy Tresh homered in the 6th with one on for the Yankees. At the end of an inning and a half, the Chicago White Sox 1, the Minnesota Twins nothing. Joel Harlan against Jim Perry. At the end of 3 1/2, it's Cleveland 2, Baltimore 2. Lee Stang against John Miller. First game of a doubleheader at the end of an inning and a half. Washington 1, Detroit nothing. Pete Rickard against Mickey Lolich. Woody held home in the second with nobody on for Washington. The Kansas City A's are scheduled against the Los Angeles Angels on the coast in a later start. Right here, no score through 5. We go to the 6th inning, and Roy McMillan is up to lead off for the New York Mets. Roy's been up twice, struck out, and grounded out. Bob Gibson is the pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. This one's in for a call, strike one. We'll be on the air at 2:55 p.m. New York time tomorrow with both games of the doubleheader between the Milwaukee Braves and the Mets. Here's a swing and a ground ball to short, a big hop up to Grody, sidearms to Bill White in time, and McMillan grounds out short to first. Now Ed Craneville, who has walked and grounded out short to first. We're in the top of the 6th. Gibson's pitch swung on and looped out into center field. And right there is Kurt Flood moving in to make the catch, and there are 2 men out. That'll bring up Johnny Lewis. The Mets came into today's game in the matter of road attendance, needing just 2,992 to reach the 1 million mark on the road. There are certainly that many and many more here. So with this crowd today, the Mets will, for the first time in their 4-year history, go over the 1 million attendance mark on the road. Here's a swing and a ground ball to second base, taken by Javier. Gibson goes to the bag, and it's there in time. So make it 4-1 if you're scoring. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left, and the score at the end of 5.5. Mets nothing, and the Cardinals nothing. Now you're going to hear music the Eden Semiatis by, and if you want to drink a little beer with it, that's all right with us.
In New York City has brought us the sounds of Andalusia and the Basque provinces in songs like Yo Te Daré. You'll hear this song in places where you can savor chorritos and ensamidas. And as the rhythm and your thirst quicken, it may be that you'll call for more cerveza Rheingold. It's a fact that in New York City, where there are more Spaniards than in Almaty, more people drink Rheingold Extra Dry than any other beer. ¿Por qué? ¿Quién sabe? But we must be doing something right.
Of the 6th inning now, it will be Bobby Tolan up to lead off for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been up one time and grounded out to Ed Craneville unassisted at first base. Tug McGraw has been in all the way for the New York Mets. Again, the Cardinal fans start a little rhythmic applause, trying to help out the Cardinal cause here in St. Louis. Tolan's a left-hand batter. Against his speed, and he has a lot of it, Charlie Smith is on the grass at third base. Swinging a ground ball to first, taken by Craneville one-handed. He goes to the bag, jogging over in time to get Bobby Tolan. Craneville elected to charge that ground ball rather than stay back for the big hop. Gloved it with a stab and then went to the bag. Well, with a speedster like Bobby Tolan up there, it's not a bad idea to charge a ground ball. Tim McCarver coming up. He's been up one time, and he flied out to Johnny Lewis in center. The play on which Johnny Lewis fell down and got up in time to make the catch. Carver settled himself in carefully. 23 years of age. Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball, and it had him hopping out of there as McCarver left his feet to get out of the way of that one. Bob Gibson is on deck. Mets nothing, Cardinals nothing. Bottom of the 6th. 1-0 delivery, and it's a breaking ball. It missed inside. 2-0. Carver back in, swings the bat as he waits. Draws 2-0 pitch. Swung on and hit in the air to left. And Jim Hickman drifts over. He's there, and he makes the catch. So McCarver goes out to left, 2 away, and Bob Gibson's the batter. He's been up one time and struck out. The Mets are today trying to win their 20th road game of the season. They've won 19 on the road. Their record for one season of road victories is 20, set last year. Pitch swung on and fouled back. Out of play for strike one to Bob Gibson. Gibson has hit 4 home runs this year. He swings a pretty good bat. He's a good all-around athlete. Fields his position exceptionally well, too. Draws 1-0 pitch. Missed outside, and it is 1-1 as Gibson started to go and laid off at the last possible moment. Delivery. Slow breaking ball high. Pulled the string, but didn't get it in the strike zone, so it's 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. And it's in for a called strike. 2-2. Defensively, the Mets play Gibson straight away. Garr takes a moment to adjust his haberdashery. Turns to look in for a sign. 2-2 pitch. Check swing ground ball back to the mound. A comebacker taken by McGarr. Plays it on over to Crane's-Drew. Gibson doesn't run at all. Stays right there. He grounds out pitcher to first. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. And the score at the end of 6 full innings is the Mets nothing and the Cardinals nothing. Bob Murphy will be along in just a moment to detail the play-by-play. But first, you know, Yedzi boat isn't something you row or sail. Just sing it like this.
Your Bort is a song that gets sung over and over at Polish parties and picnics until the singers raise a fearful thirst. Then they change their tune. Piwo is the traditional Polish call for beer, and often it's Rheingold Extra Dry they call for. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Poles than in all of Świdnica, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. Why do Polish Americans like Rheingold? We don't know. But we must be doing something right.
Now we go to the 7th inning, and Charlie Smith leads off against Bob Gibson. First pitch thrown, a swing and a miss, strike one. Charlie has been up twice, hit into a forced play, and been struck out. St. Louis playing the infield straight away against Charlie Smith. The outfield straight away. Breaking ball is down in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Joe Christopher is the on-deck batter, and then Jim Hickman. Gibson looking in to Tim McCarver. He winds and pitches. Towering pop foul. Coming back looking for a play is Tim McCarver. And there'll be no play. It drops into the crowd.
the warm-ups for today's Dodger-Houston Astro game. It'll be Sandy Koufax for the Dodgers. Sandy, 21 wins and 7 losses. Robin Roberts, who's won 4 and lost none since coming back to the National League, pitching for the Houston Astros. This will be Sandy's 4th outing in quest of his 22nd win. Pittsburgh nothing, Milwaukee nothing at the end of 2. Tommy Sisk against Bob Sadowski. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Charlie Smith. Fastball is in, strike 3 call. Dodgers. Sandy, 21 wins and 7 losses. Robin Roberts, who's won 4 and lost none since coming back to the National League, pitching for the Houston Astros. This will be Sandy's 4th outing in quest of his 22nd win. Pittsburgh nothing, Milwaukee nothing at the end of 2. Tommy Sisk against Bob Sadowski. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Charlie Smith. Fastball is in, strike 3 call. Gibson notching his 7th strikeout of the game. 1 out and nobody on. Now Joe Christopher coming up. Joe has been up twice and been on base twice. He has reached on a walk and an infield hit. The only solid base hit in the ball game was a single to left field by Johnny Lewis in the 1st inning. The other hit by the Mets, a scratch hit by Christopher, and the Cardinals' only hit was a scratch hit. It's into the knees for a call strike on Joe Christopher. The Phillies 4 and the Cincinnati Reds 2 at the end of 1 inning. Roger Craig has relieved Sammy Ellis in the 2nd inning. Dick Stewart hit a grand slam off Ellis in the 1st. Foul ball. He hit that one twice, catching it on the backlash. Now the count is strike 2 on Joe Christopher. They're in the 5th inning at Wrigley Field now. The Giants 2 and the Cubs 1. Juan Marichal trying to become the 3rd 20-game winner in the National League. Sandy was the first to get it. Then came Tony Cloninger. An off-speed pitch is outside and low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitching 1 and 2. Drive down the left field line. It may go foul. It's right down the line, and it is a foul ball. Into the left field corner, a foul ball by just a couple of feet. That's the hardest drive hit off Gibson in the ballgame. Had the ball been fair, it might very well have been caught by the left fielder Lou Brock. Brock, with that great speed, almost reached it in foul territory. Christopher stepping back into the batter's box. The count 1 ball and 2 strikes. No score. We're in the 7th inning. Gibson winding. Here's the pitch on the way. Bounced foul. That one caught McCarver on his throwing hand. Tim McCarver whacked on the right thumb by a foul tip off Christopher's bat. And Tim is really hopping around. He was hurt earlier in the season and had to miss several ball games. Euchre took over behind the plate. Then Euchre was hurt. And Mike Shannon, an outfielder, had to go behind the plate. Here comes Red Shandinst out to home plate to have a look at the hand. Shandin's talking to McCarver to be sure that he's all right. And it appears that he will be. Tom Gorman telling Bob Gibson to throw him a couple of pitches to make sure he can throw the ball all right. is satisfied that McCarver is okay to continue. One out, nobody on. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes to Joe Christopher. Gibson winding. Down comes his pitch. Low and outside. It's 2-2. Yogi pacing up and down in the lines at first. And the 2-2 delivery. A smash off the glove of Gibson. He picks it up. Now he throws to first in time, and Christopher is out. That ball looked like a certain hit for Joe Christopher, a wicked smash back to the box. But Gibson, who is a nifty fielder, got hit on the glove and the leg, and the ball carried him toward first base. He went right after it and threw Christopher out. Nobody on. That brings up Jim Hickman. Jim has been struck out, grounded out third to first. We're scoreless, 2 outs, nobody on, 7th inning. Check swing and a slow grounder down the first baseline. Grabbed by Gibson, he jogs on over to first, makes the play unassisted, and the side is out. 3 up and 3 set aside, and the score at the end of 6 and a half innings. The New York Mets nothing and the St. Louis Cardinals nothing. And now a word from Viceroy Cigarettes.
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
You get the word? It's Viceroy, a cigarette that's specifically designed to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. If you're a filter smoker, you've already discovered some brands taste too strong, as if they didn't even have a filter. And others taste too light. You know the kind. They never seem to satisfy your taste. But do you know about Viceroy? Viceroy is not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the filter for the taste that's right. When you try them, you'll agree. Viceroy's got the taste that's right.
Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Not too strong and not too light. The taste that's right.
Last of the 7th inning, St. Louis getting up against Tug McGraw. Beyond the Mets bullpen down the right field line in the field box area, a group of youngsters who would appear to be of the late high school age have a very attractive banner boosting the Mets. Now the top of the Redbird batting order, and Lou Brock leads off against Tug McGraw. Brock has fouled out to Jim Hickman and been thrown out trying to butt his way on. Ball strike on the outside corner. Cardinal fans scurrying around now, hoping the Redbirds can get it going. No score last half of the 7th inning. Here's the wind-up pitch by Tug, inside to high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kurt Flood is on deck, and then Dick Groat. Now Tug takes the sign from Canizero. Ground ball hit to second base. Ron Hunt grabs the hop. Sidearm flip to Eddie Kranepool, and Brock is out. 1 man away. That brings up center fielder Kurt Flood. He has the only hit off McGraw, and that was a scratch hit, an infield hit to short. He grounded out in the 4th inning. Now Now Tug out of his windup. The pitch, ground ball hammered toward the hole. Backhand play by McMillan. The long throw is in the dirt. Crane Bull's got it. He's out. Beautiful play by Roy McMillan. He was making the play against one of the fastest men in baseball, center fielder Kurt Flood of the Cardinals. Went in the hole, made a backhand grab, and rifled it across. Throw was in the dirt, but Crane Bull came up with it clean. 2 outs and nobody on. Dick Grote, the batter. Grote has lined out to Christopher in right field and fly to left, nothing for 2. Here's the windup pitch to Grote, just under the knees, 1 ball and no strikes. Windup. Here's the pitch on the way. A let-up inside and low. 2 balls and no strikes. Johnny Lewis, the center fielder, playing Dick Grote to hit to the opposite field. He moves over toward the alley in right center against Grote. Here's the 2-0 pitch. And it's a strike on the outside corner, about knee-high, 2-1. Shading Grote toward the middle. Now the pitch on the way. Under the knees, ball 3. It's 3-1. Ken Boyer, the Cardinal third baseman and cleanup batter, is waiting in the on-deck circle. Giants picked up 2 runs in the 5th inning. They now lead the Chicago Cubs 4-1 at the end of 4.5. Cranks it up. The 3-1 delivery. A ground ball bounced to short. McMillan snags the hop, strides and throws. The side is out. Tug McGraw getting the Redbirds in order in the 7th inning. And so, Tug McGraw has now retired 18 of the last 19 batters to face him. The only man to reach base was Bill White, hit by a pitch in the 5th inning since the 1st inning of the ball game. At the end of 7, the score, the New York Mets nothing, and the St. Louis Cardinals nothing. Giants 4 and the Cubs 1 after 4.5 with Marichal going for his 20th. Willie Mays has hit his 43rd, 496 in his career, and Billy Williams has hit his 28th. In the American League, the Yankees have tied up the Red Sox 3-3. They go to the 10th inning. Raditz and Ramos are in relief. The White Sox 1 and the Twins nothing at the end of 3. Holland against Perry. Baltimore 4, Cleveland 2 at the end of 4, but Palmer has relieved John Miller in the 5th inning for the Birds. Stang is the Cleveland pitcher. Washington 1, Detroit nothing at the end of 3 on a home run by Woody Held. Pete Rickard and Mickey Lolich are the pitchers. Later, it's Kansas City and Los Angeles. Leading off against Bob Gibson as we go to the 8th inning. Curve is over to Chris, strike 1 called. Gibson has walked 3, struck out 7, allowed no runs, given up just 2 hits. A line shot caught by Ken Boyer at 3rd. 2 line drives in a row that have been hit by Canizero that have been caught. That brings up young Tug McGraw. He's given just 1 hit, an infield hit in the 1st inning. Allowed only 1 other base runner. That was Bill White, hit by a pitch, and has retired 18 of the last 19 batters. Tug hitting right-handed. Breaking ball, low and outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Now Gibson winds. Down comes his pitch, and the blazer is on the outside corner of strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 delivery. He bunts the ball. Off the mound comes Gibson. Picks it up easily. Throws to first, and McGraw's out. They're trying to bunt his way on, but bunted the ball almost directly back to the mound. Gibson has now retired 8 men in a row. The last base runner for New York was Ron Hunt coming up now. He reached on a walk in the 5th inning and was caught stealing. The Rheingold Chug-A-Mug is a wide-mouth glass mug that holds 12 ounces of beer, and it even feels right when you pick it up. They're just about the handiest thirst quenchers in town, and you'll find special Chug-A-Mug displays in your area. His line to short, grounded out to first, reached on a walk. Ball 1. Now Gibson winds. Down comes his pitch. It's on the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Inning, 2 outs and nobody on. No score in the ball game. Ray Washburn and Rob Gardner are the pitchers in the nightcap of this doubleheader today. The 1-1 delivery, a swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Washburn was unbeaten lifetime against the New York Mets until he hooked up with Tug McGraw on that last homestand. Tug went all the way, the Mets winning 4-2 to hand Washburn the setback. Cincinnati got 4 runs in the last half of the 2nd inning. They have now come from behind and gone in front of Philadelphia 6-4 at the end of 2. Ground ball bounced to short. Rote coming in charging is up with it, throws to first, the side is out. Mound duel goes on. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. At the end of 7.5 innings, the score, the New York Mets nothing, the St. Louis Cardinals nothing. If you've been wondering what Swedish Americans sing after the smorgasbord, listen to this.
Swedish Americans sing over and over at their parties and picnics until they raise a fearful thirst. Then they change their tunes. Elon Gore is a traditional Swedish drinking song, and often the beer they drink is Rheingold Extra Dry. In fact, in New York City, where there are more Swedes than in all of Husqvarna, more people drink Rheingold than any other beer. Why do Swedish Americans like Rheingold? We don't know, but we must be doing something right.
Last of the 8th inning, Ken Boyer, Bill White, and Julian Javier come up against Tug McGraw. Twice. Popped to second and popped to short. Now Tug takes a deep breath to relax himself on the mound. Gordon Richardson and Darrell Sutherland start throwing easily in the Mets bullpen. Last of the 8th inning, no score. Here's the pitch to Boyer, and it's high, ball 1. Sign, the wind-up pitch to Boyer. Outside and the high, it's ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. For St. Louis, Mickey Vernon coaches first base, and Joe Schultz will be at third. McGraw behind on the count. The 2-0 delivery is up high. It's ball 3. For the first time all afternoon, those 3 pitches have been way out of the strike zone. So now Chris Canizero walks slowly back toward the mound before returning it. Tug's control has been marvelous. He hasn't walked a man. Cardinals over the first 7 innings had just 21 men come up. Only 2 base runners. 3-0 delivery. Ball 4, it was way outside, and all 4 of the pitches were out of the strike zone by a wide margin. So there's the first walk given by McGraw, and it brings up a tough hitter in Bill White. Chris Canizero going on now to talk to Tug McGraw. Now let's see how the Cardinals play it. White is the hitter. Behind him in the batting order, Julian Javier, a right-hand batter, and Bobby Tolan, a left-hand hitter. Now Tug up in pitching position. They look for the bunt. He squares around, bunts it, a good bunt. Off the mound is Tug. He fumbles it. Everybody's safe. Time to make the play, but made the mistake of trying to pick the ball up with his bare hand instead of using his glove. Scored a sacrifice and an error, and Wes Westrom is on the way to the mound. Tug got to the ball in plenty of time to get White at first base. He probably had it in his mind to grab it quickly with his throwing hand and make a play at second base. But in so doing, he fumbled it, and the Cardinals now have runners on first and second and nobody out. First threat for the Cardinals in the ball game. First time they've had a runner as far as second base. Now Wes Westrom talking to Tug McGraw, trying to calm him down a little bit. Returns to the dugout. Julian Javier is coming up. Javier has bounced to short and hit into a double play started by Roy McMillan. Let's see how the Cardinals play it. The Mets assume that they're going to try and bump the runners over. Bobby Tolan and Ken McCarver behind Javier in the batting order. Spain Brule moves up the line toward home. Here's the pitch. He was around to bunt, didn't offer. It was inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Canizero took a look toward second, did not throw. Chicago, Billy Williams has hit his second home run of the ball game. The Giants now leading the Cubs 4-2 with Chicago hitting the last half of the 6th inning. Now the pitch. Way outside, ball 2. It's 2-0. Tug McGraw in trouble for the first time this afternoon, and this is going to be all for McGraw. And Darryl Sutherland is going to be brought in. With a count 2 balls and no strikes on Julian Javier, Tug will be taken out now by Wes Westrom, and Darryl Sutherland will be brought in. And you can see that Tug McGraw is a very disappointed young man. He has pitched a magnificent ball game. Now as Wes Westrom pats Tug on the back, he kicks at the dirt in disappointment with himself. And slender Darrell Sutherland, the 23-year-old right-hander from Glendale, California, comes in to take over. And here's the hand for Tug. He turned in a tremendous pitching performance. Now he hates to leave the ball game, and you can't blame him. He was a great competitive player. But he's a young pitcher doing a superb job, and each outing he is improving and learning more. Darrell Sutherland, another young prospect of the New York Mets, is now on the mound in relief. Darrell's 8th outing since joining the club from Buffalo. He's won one and lost one. Darrell's first major league win was in relief against the Astros. He lost the game he started to the Giants and has pitched very effectively in relief. So Tug leaves the game after pitching 7 innings. At the moment, he has allowed no runs, given up just 1 hit, and that was an infield hit by Flood in the opening inning of this game. Walked only 1 man. The leadoff walk to Boyer here in the 8th. And he struck out 2. The runners on base are Tug's responsibility. Should Javier be walked, he would also be the responsibility of Tug McGraw. Darrell Sutherland, tall, reed-thin right-hander from Glendale, California. Sinker ball specialist. Now Javier steps in. The count is 2 balls and no strikes. Richardson continues to work hard in the bullpen because the next 2 batters up are left-hand hitters, Bobby Tolan and Tim McIver. Let's look for the bunt. Now Darrell Sutherland in the set position. Delivers. Inside and high, it's ball 3, and again Javier turned around to bunt. So Darrell is a pitch away from loading the bases. And no strikes on Javier. Now the pitch on the way. He takes all the way. It's high, ball 4. The bases are loaded. Nobody out. The walk is charged to Tug McGraw. Westrum will bring in Gordon Richardson to pitch to Bobby Tolan. Since the walk is officially charged to Tug McGraw, a little bit of a baseball oddity that has happened before, but it doesn't happen often. Darrell Sutherland, while officially in the ball game, did not officially face a batter. Darrell threw 2 pitches to Javier. Both were out of the strike zone, but since the count was 2-0 when he took over, the walk is charged to McGraw. Gordon Richardson turned in a strong relief job Friday night to save the game for Dick Selma and the New York Mets. He pitched 4 innings. He allowed no runs, no hits. And now he walks into a bases-loaded situation with nobody out. Gordon has won 2 and lost 1, and this is his 27th relief appearance. Richardson, in 43 innings of relief work, has given up just 33 hits. Doug McGraw has the best earned run average of any Mets pitcher. This was really a tough one for Tug. He leaves the game in the 8th inning. He had given up only one hit, and that was an infield hit. But he had lost his control a little bit and seemed to have lost a little bit of his poise after committing the error on the bunt by Bill White. So when he fell behind Javier 2-0 at a very crucial spot, Darrell Sutherland was brought in. Javier walked, and now Richardson is in with the bases loaded, nobody out. No score, but the Cardinals are casting the most menacing threat of the afternoon. Bobby Tolan, a speedster and a left-hand batter, is up. The Mets have the infield in against Bobby Tolan trying to head off the lead run, Ken Boyer. Now here we go. Gordon Richardson winding. The pitch to Tolan. Foul ball back toward the crowd and out of play. First game of a doubleheader. Dave Eilers is on call in the Mets bullpen now. The infield in, the outfield around toward right against Tolan. Richardson winds. Here's the pitch on the way. A high fly ball hit to right center. Johnny Lewis is getting under it. Boyer tags up. Lewis makes the catch. Here comes Boyer. Here comes the throw. They may get him. He is out of the plate. The ball is dropped and he's safe. Lewis had him thrown out. Canizero made the tag and then dropped the ball. He had the ball knocked loose. And the Cardinals lead 1-0. That great throwing arm of his had thrown out Ken Boyer, and so an error will be charged to Chris Canizero. One of the few you'll see him make. So instead of it being 2 outs and 2 on, it's 1 out, 2 on, and a run in. That is not a sacrifice fly because Canizero is charged with an error. Tom Gorman had already called Boyer out when the ball was dropped. Johnny Lewis gets credit for an assist. He now has 14 assists this year. Tim McCarver is up, a run is in. The Redbirds are in front 1-0. Runners on first and second, 1 man out. Here's the pitch by Richardson. A line drive down the right field line. Foul. Foul ball by about a foot. Is on second and Julian Javier on first, and they return. 1 strike count on the Bulldog, Tim McCarver. St. Louis leading 1-0. We're in the last of the 8th inning. Now the stretch. Pitch to McCarver, inside the high, steps back, 1 ball, 1 strike. Roy McMillan shaded over towards second against McCarver, who hits up the middle and pulls the ball. Charlie Smith gives him the third base line and plays him over toward the hole on the left side of the infield. The 1-1 delivery. A line drive to right field. It's well hit. Back goes Christopher. It's over his head for a base hit. White is around third scoring. Javier is going to third, turns and holds up as Hunt relays the ball to the plate. And the Cardinals lead 2-0. The pavilion wall in right field by Tim McCarver. Scores Bill White. St. Louis in front now 2-0. Bob Gibson. Gibson, a good hitter. Mets have to play the infield drawn in with runners on second and third, one out. Now Richardson with a full windup. Pitch is low and inside to Gibson. 1 ball and no strikes. A double to right by McIver is the first base hit of the inning. Cardinals loaded the bases on 2 walks and a fielding error charged to Tug McGraw. Now the pitch on the way. He holds up and the curve is inside, 2-0. Dodgers nothing and the Houston Astros nothing at the end of 2 innings. Sandy Koufax against Robin Roberts. Pittsburgh nothing, Milwaukee nothing after 4 1/2. Tommy Sisk against Bobby Sadowski. Cincinnati 6, Philadelphia 4 after 2 1/2 innings. Pitch thrown to Gibson, a foul ball back, no play. Giants 4 and the Cubs 2. They're in the last of the 7th inning at Chicago. Right here, 2 runs are in. St. Louis in front, 2 to nothing. Last of the 8th inning. 1 man away, runners on second and third. Javier is on third and McIver on second. Here's the pitch to Gibson. A line drive, base hit to right field. In the score is Javier. Rounding third and holding up is McIver. Greenpool cuts the throw off, fires to second, not in time, and Gibson streaks into second base. Bob Gibson, a gifted athlete, and how he can run. Slammed a single into right field, and he took second on the throw. Throw coming in toward home was cut off by Cranepool, and Eddie threw hard to second, but not in time. And now the Cardinals lead 3 to nothing. Left fielder Lou Brock, leadoff batter for the Cardinals now, is up for the 4th time in the game. He's fouled out to Jim Hickman, been thrown out trying to bunt, and grounded out second to first. Let's keep the infield in the same situation. Runners on second and third, just 1 man out. Line drive caught by Charlie Smith. He steps on third for a double play, and the side is out. Brock lines into a double play, turned unassisted by Charlie Smith. But in the 8th inning, the Cardinals score 3 runs. There were 2 hits, 1 very costly error, and 1 man left. 2 errors, beg your pardon. The first on McGraw and the second on Canizero. 1 man left on. All 3 of the runs will be charged to Tug McGraw. Gordon Richardson, who was so effective in relief on Friday night, was hit hard by the Cardinals in relief here today. All 3 of the Cardinal runs are unearned runs. So Tug actually gave up only 1 hit, and that was an infield hit by Flood in the 1st inning. We'll be going to the 9th inning in the first game of today's doubleheader with New York now behind 3 to nothing. Following the doubleheader today, the Mets fly to Milwaukee for a Labor Day doubleheader tomorrow. Will be on the air at 2:55 p.m. New York time. After a 2-game stopover in Cincinnati, the Mets are back in Big Shea on Friday night with an important weekend series against the home run hitting Milwaukee Braves. Tickets on sale at the advanced sale window at Shea Stadium. In Midtown Manhattan, you can buy Mets tickets at the Long Island Railroad waiting room at Penn Station, or at Grand Central Terminal at the foot of the 42nd Street and Vanderbilt Avenue ramp. For Mets fans living on Long Island, tickets are on sale during regular store hours at Macy's in the Walt Whitman Shopping Center in Huntington. Chuck Hiller will bat for Roy McMillan as we go to the 9th inning. faced in this ball game. Foul ball cut back upstairs and out of play. This is the second straight heartbreaker for Tug McGraw. Swing and a miss on a high hard one. He was in a tie ball game with the Astros 2-2 in the ninth inning and got beat on an unearned run his last time out. But the important thing and the encouraging thing is how well the young left-hander from Vallejo, California has been pitching. Taken high by Chuck Hiller, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Gibson winds the pitch to Chuck Hiller. Foul pop-up. Back comes Tim McCarver hoping for a play. And near the backstop, he can't get a play. He really gave that one a try. He slammed into the screen trying to grab it. It's been a rugged ball game for McCarver. He was hit on the right thumb with a foul tip earlier. Shandy's taking no chances. He has his veteran relief ace, Hal Woodachik, loosening in the bullpen. Eddie Craneville is on deck. Out, and we have a beautiful day in St. Louis now. Hiller straddling the plate. Now the pitch by Gibson. A swing and a miss. He struck him out. That is the 8th strikeout for Bob Gibson. He now has struck out 231 batters this year. Eddie Craneville, the hitter. Eddie has reached on a walk, bounced to short, fly to center. Nothing for 2. The Cardinals have a total of 3 hits. The Mets have a total of 2 hits. Now Gibson with a breaking ball that's outside, ball 1. Gibson is trying to pitch his 6th shutout of the season. Ball right in there for a call strike. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1 delivery. Craneville lays off, but it gets the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Eddie Craneville. Outside and high, 2-2. Johnny Lewis is on deck. Dodgers got a run in the 3rd inning in the Astrodome. They lead Houston 1-0 after 2.5. Koufax against Roberts. Pirates nothing and the Braves nothing at the end of 5 innings. Dueling Tommy Sisk and Bob Sadowski. Low and inside, 3-2. Dick Stewart hit a grand slam to give the Phillies a 4-run lead in the 1st inning. Cincinnati came right back to score 6 runs in the first 2. They lead 6-4 at the end of 3.5. Line drive in the air to left field. Coming in is Pratt, and he makes the catch. Hard hit line drive by Craneville. It stayed up just long enough to be picked off by Lou Brock. Gibson with a breaking ball that's outside, ball 1. Gibson is trying to pitch his 6th shutout of the season. Fastball right in there for a call strike. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 delivery. Crane Pool lays off, but it gets the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Eddie Crane Pool. Outside and high, 2-2. Johnny Lewis is on deck. Dodgers got a run in the 3rd inning in the Astrodome. They lead Houston 1-0 after 2.5. Koufax against Roberts. Pirates nothing and the Braves nothing at the end of 5 innings. Dueling Tommy Susk and Bob Sadowski. Low and inside, 3-2. Dick Stewart hit a grand slam to give the Phillies a 4-run lead in the 1st inning. Cincinnati came right back to score 6 runs in the first 2. They lead 6-4 at the end of 3.5. Line drive in the air to left field. Coming in is Brock, and he makes the catch. Hard hit line drive by Crane Pool. It stayed up just long enough to be picked off by Lou Brock. Giants 4 and the Cubs 2. They're the last of the 7th in Chicago. With Juan Marichal trying to win his 20th on 2 days' rest. Inside and low, it's ball 1 to Johnny Lewis. Ball 2, inside and low. Gibson is also bidding for his 19th complete ball game. Breaking ball over, first strike, 2-1. The White Sox lead the Minnesota Twins 1-0 at the end of 5. The White Sox are 6.5 games out of first place. Pitching 2-1. A drive in the air to center field. Coming in is Kurt Flood. He has it. The game is over. Last 2 hitters for the Mets hitting hard line drives to the outfield, and both were caught. And Gibson leaves the mound with his 6th shutout of the year, his 17th victory. In the 9th inning for New York, no runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on. Final score in the opening game of today's doubleheader, the St. Louis Cardinals 3 and the New York Mets nothing. We'll be back with a recap of the game in just a moment. Do you drive a car? Then here's some helpful information for you.
A safety tip from Shell. Smooth steering is critical. Has your car got it? At all speeds? As soon as you can, try this easy road test, courtesy of your local Shell dealer. Pick a smooth stretch of road where it's legal to go 60 miles an hour. First, hold a steady speed of 40. Then move up to 50. Then up to the legal limit. Hold both hands lightly on the steering wheel and feel carefully. Does the wheel shake as your speed increases? Or does it shake at 50, for example, but not at 60? Either way, it's a good bet your wheels are out of balance. Double check by looking at your front tires. If they're wearing unevenly in spots, you can be almost sure your wheels need balancing. See your Shell dealer. Balancing wheels doesn't take long, isn't expensive. Incidentally, if you should need new tires, your Shell dealer can show you just the right size at just the right price. At Shell, service is our business.
The St. Louis Cardinals, behind their ace right-hander, Bob Gibson, have taken the opening game of the doubleheader by a final score of 3-0. The second game of the doubleheader will get underway at 4:30 p.m. New York time, and we'll return to our broadcast booth at approximately 4:27 p.m. for the broadcast of the second game. This was a brilliant mound duel between 21-year-old Tug McGraw and veteran right-hander Bob Gibson. McGraw, pitching his fattest baseball, gave up only 1 hit over the first 7 innings, and that was an infield hit by Kurt Flood in the first. And over the first 7 innings, McGraw faced just 21 batters. But in the 8th inning, with a score 0-0, he gave up his first walk of the afternoon when he walked Ken Boyer on 4 pitches that were out of the strike zone by a rather wide margin. The key play came on a bunt by Bill White. Tug had plenty of time to make the play, but in his haste, hoping to get a play at second, he tried to pick the ball up with his bare hand instead of his glove. Booted it, everybody was safe. He went behind Javier 2-0, and Darrell Sutherland was brought in. Darrell missed Lewis to strike zone on 2 pitches. That loaded the bases, nobody out. Then came a big play. Gordon Richardson was brought in, and Bobby Tolan hit a fly ball to center field. Boyer tagged up at third. Johnny Lewis made the catch and fired the ball home to Chris Cannizzaro. The throw was right on the money and in time, and Boyer was out at the plate. He had been called out by Tom Gorman, but then the ball was dropped by Chris Cannizzaro for an error, and the Cardinals had a run in. McCarver doubled in a run, and Gibson singled in a run, and that was it. St. Louis getting 3 runs, 3 hits, no errors, 1 left. New York, no runs, 2 hits, 2 errors, and just 4 left. Bob Gibson winning his 17th of the year against 10 losses. It was his 6th shutout of the season and his 2nd in succession. His previous start, he had shut out Chicago at Wrigley Field. The loser, Ted McGraw, and again, the young left-hander pitched superb baseball. McGraw now has won 2 and lost 4. In the second game of today's doubleheader, for the New York Mets, making his 2nd start will be young left-hander Rob Gardner. His mound opponent will be right-hander Ray Washburn. The final score of the opening game of today's doubleheader, the St. Louis Cardinals 3 and the New York Mets nothing. And we'll be returning from our broadcast booth at 4:27 New York time with the second game of today's doubleheader. Today's